This year, 6 CE, a large revolt breaks out in the Roman province of Illyricum, and the Emperor of China dies. Welcome to the Yearly Histories, where we will highlight the major events that take place in the Common Era, year by year. Last year, we saw Tiberius successfully campaigning in Germania, multiple natural disasters striking Rome, and the young Emperor Ping of the Han Dynasty falling ill. The misfortunes in the city of Rome continue on from last year. There has been discontent brewing in the Roman legions stemming from the meager bonuses they have been receiving from the Emperor. These bonuses had been coming out of Augustus's own pockets beforehand, and were in much larger sums, but the cost had become intolerable. Augustus sets up a treasury called the Aerarium Militare with the specific purpose of paying bonuses to retiring legion veterans. This is financed by a 5% tax on inheritances. Quote, naturally, the new tax caused considerable grumbling among the civilian population, especially since the famine intensified during the spring of the year 6, forcing Augustus to enact a stringent austerity program to conserve the city's dwindling grain supplies. Bread was rationed, public banquets within the city limits were banned, government offices were closed, courts went into recess, senators were invited to leave the city to stay at their country estates for the duration of the crisis, and unemployed gladiators and slaves were removed from Rome to a less hard-pressed district 100 miles away. Then, fire raged through the troubled capital, unquote. In addition to all of the troubles over the past year, earthquakes, floods, famine, discontent, now a catastrophic fire, Augustus responds by forming a firefighting barracks system composed of freedmen called the Vigiles, to allow a quicker response to outbreaks of fire in the city. They also have a role in policing the public of the city. On the martial front, Tiberius makes Carnuntum his base of operations for his planned campaign against Maroboduus, the king of the Marcomanni. They are a Germanic tribe that inhabit the Roman border regions in Central Europe. Maroboduus was a member of the Marcomannic nobility, and as a young man, he lived in Italy and enjoyed the favor of Emperor Augustus. The Marcomanni were decimated by the Roman army in 10 BCE, and Maroboduus returned to his tribe to become their new leader the next year. Now Tiberius decides that he can safely borrow troops from the province of Illyricum for this cause. The Roman governor of Illyricum, Marcus Valerius Messala Messallinus, began to raise a levy of auxiliary troops and supplies from the local populace. The locals had been resentful of the levels of taxation for some time now, and these actions were the final straw. A chieftain of the De Citiate tribe named Bato exclaimed to Tiberius, quote, "We are your flocks, yet you do not send dogs or shepherds to guard us, but wolves." Unquote. Instead of marching to the front against the Marcomanni, the native troops drafted by Messallinus rise up in a revolt led by Bato. This contingent is a fierce enemy due to their knowledge of Roman battle tactics. At the same time, a military commander, also named Bato, this time of the Bruci tribe, rises up in the northern part of the province. Thus the conflict is known as the Bellum Botanianum, or also the Great Illyrian Revolt. Bato of the Bruci catches the Romans off guard in the outpost of Sirmium and inflicts heavy casualties on them until the Romans eventually fight them off. The temptation to revolt from many other tribes along the Adriatic coast is too great, and they join the affair and begin to massacre every Roman soldier they can find. Horrified by the 200,000 barbarian troops, including 9,000 cavalry, Augustus responded by rounding up every suitable man in Rome he could find to assemble a force to combat the uprising, even conscripting slaves. They are sent northwards to rendezvous with Tiberius, who is making his way back to Illyricum from the northern border regions with an army, right after he negotiated an armistice with the Marcomannic king, Maroboduus. Tiberius arrives just in time to relieve Messallinus and beat back an attack by Bato with the De Citiate. In turn, This Bato responds by meeting up with the forces of Bato the Bruci, and they begin to launch guerrilla attacks against Romans in the region. By the end of the year, the barbarian troops retreat from Tiberius's army into the mountains. Tiberius knows that he's in for a long and brutal fight against this tenacious enemy. Over on the border regions of the Roman Empire in North Africa, the Gaetulian War finally comes to an end. In 3 CE, we mentioned how this revolt against the empire broke out, possibly due to the Romans exceedingly trying to control the Gaetuli tribesmen. Forces led by Cossus Cornelius Lentulus were dispatched to put down the invasion, and they found victory. Lentulus is given the surname Gaetulicus for his successful campaign. In our first major territorial change of the series, the Romans officially annexed Judea into the empire as an imperial province. There has been constant turmoil in the territory ever since King Herod died, and his land was split between his many sons. This results in Augustus stepping in and assuming full control. Henceforth, Judea would be governed by a semi-autonomous prefect appointed by the emperor and must report directly to him. A Roman official named Quirinius conducts a census in Judea for the purpose of taxation. This causes another rebellion to break out, in this case led by Judas of Galilee and supported by the Pharisee Zadok. This revolt is not nearly as serious as the one in Illyricum, and is repressed, with the rebels being crucified. Due to Agrippa Postumus's poor and brutish behavior, Augustus is forced to abdicate him from the Julii family and banish him to a villa at Surrentum near Pompeii. This leaves the commander Tiberius as his sole heir to inherit the top position in the Roman Empire. In other news for Tiberius, the temple of Castor and Pollux in Rome is rededicated to him. It was originally built in gratitude for the victory of the early Roman Republic at the Battle of Lake Regillus against the Latin League in 496 BCE. In 14 BCE, a fire destroyed the temple, and Tiberius moved to have it rebuilt. Moving east, 2 years earlier, Artavasdes IV succeeded to the Armenian throne with Roman support. Unfortunately for them, he proved to be unpopular, possibly due to his foreign ethnicity, and this year, he is killed by his subjects. Emperor Augustus moves swiftly to place Tigranes V in the vacancy. Over in Parthia, the short-lived reign of Orodes III comes to an end. In 4 CE, we saw how Phraates V and his mother Musa were overthrown by the Parthian nobility, and Orodes III was reluctantly placed on the throne. He was quite unpopular and hated for his cruel temper. Quote, another insurrection followed, and Orodes III was murdered at a festival or while hunting, about AD 6. Unquote. The Parthians petitioned to Rome to send back one of the Arsacid princes they are in possession of, but no successor is selected in the meantime. Moving to China, last year we saw the young Emperor Ping fall ill. This year, he dies unexpectedly from that illness at the age of 14. Due to the age of the deceased emperor, there is no designated successor. Wang Mang moves immediately and acts alone to place the 2-year-old Liu Ying on the throne, who takes the imperial name of Ruzi Ying. The imperial Liu clan suspects the intentions of Wang Mang and foment agrarian rebellions during the course of Ruzi Ying's reign. The first of these is led by Liu Chong, Marquis of Anzong, with a small force. He openly accuses Wang Mang of seeking to usurp the throne for himself. The rebellion lacks support and is put down with ease by the imperial government. Liu Chong's mother and son are beheaded, and Liu Chong himself is brutally killed. Shortly after, Wang Mang assumes the title of acting emperor, claiming that the revolt only occurred due to his position as regent being too weak. We will see if that works out for him. Now it's time for In Memoriam, where we look back on the lives of prominent figures who died in the year. Emperor Ping of the Han Dynasty dies at the young age of 14 due to an illness, although Wang Mang is also suspected. Ping was placed on the throne in 1 BCE at 8 years old, and consequently, the rule of the empire came under his top officials. Wang Mong's position saw a steady ascent throughout his entire reign. Ping was not able to have much influence due to his young age, and passed away, still never having taken any power for himself. Terentia, the wife of the famous orator Marcus Tullius Cicero, dies at the impressive age of 103. At this point, she's the only surviving figure of the late Roman Republic, besides Emperor Augustus himself. She was in charge of conducting family affairs in Cicero's household, such as designating tasks for their slaves. She also took care of the finances and other necessities when Cicero was banished from Rome in 58 BCE for the allegedly illegal execution of Roman citizens in the Catiline conspiracy. Strain was put on their marriage when the civil war between Caesar and Pompey broke out, leading to their divorce. She later remarried twice and lived out the rest of her long life. We will leave this year, 6 CE, with the Great Illyrian Revolt breaking out, and a new, younger emperor on the throne of the Han Dynasty. How long will the Hans be able to stay in control with these youthful emperors on the throne being used as puppets by the officials behind the scenes? If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to be notified when the next iteration of the yearly histories will be released. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next year in 7 CE to continue the fascinating stories of the world of antiquity and cover its major events.